And there's elements of our body that actually create our reality. And when you're born into a bad situation in poverty, maybe there's some sort of abuse and so forth, the belief in yourself is so much, is sometimes non-existent. Because
the glitz and glam is the fame, but it's the work backstage that makes the game. I'm Crystel and Leve Bundal, your host. Come with me behind the lens and watch their stories unfold. Our next guest is one of our very own here in Australia. She's a pageant queen. She is Mrs. Australia International 2020. She's now based in America, but she's doing some amazing work to help children in poverty. Please welcome to Behind the Lens, Laura Ratliff. Crowned in February this year, in February 2020, here in Sydney, Australia, as the Mrs. Australia International. How have you been since getting that title?
Well, it's been a crazy time because of COVID. I'm actually living in Salt Lake City, so we were going to do a lot more traveling during this short amount of time since February, so it's now July. However, we've had to adapt to the situation, and I've done a lot of things online, which has been quite a nice journey. So yes, it was an amazing experience in February, Sydney. We were there for 4 weeks, and I was privileged enough to be crowned Mrs. Australia International 2020.
How did it feel for you to finally get the title?
It was amazing because Crystel, for me, I haven't been in pageants for since I was 5 or anything like that. I've been a performer, and 10 years ago I started my own business. So for me, I was looking for a platform that I could really get behind children in poverty and really fix the problem that we have in the world. And I was asking the universe, if you will, the questions like, how can I help more children? And then, my husband and I were in a local restaurant and saw an article, and that was the short story. It's obviously a longer story than that, but so it was amazing. The moment that I chose to compete for Mrs. Australia International, and doing all the plans, and I'm really doing it with my husband, which has been a really nice journey as well. And then actually living your dream on stage and being crowned, it was just, I felt really honored that I could represent my country, Australia, in the USA in July, and compete for the title Mrs. International and help more kids around the world. So it's been a dream come true, Crystel.
That's incredible. I do love everything that you're doing and everything that you stand for, and we'll get into that later. But the classic Behind the Lens style will go right back into, since you're doing a lot of work with children and you develop programs to help their personal development. Let's go back into your journey in personal development as a child. You were talking about how your parents got you to do lessons in figure skating, juggling, unicycling, all sorts of stuff, and how that developed your confidence. How would you say those extracurricular activities helped you?
Oh, Crystel, it was massive. So as you know, when I was 5, I was so shy that it really prohibited me from learning like all the other kids. I was a very visual learner and very creative, and the teacher in kindergarten would ask me to stand up and answer this question, and it just, my brain, I still remember the moment right now, my brain would shut down, and I just didn't want to get the answer wrong. And I was in that particular school for 6 months, and my mum figured that it wasn't the right teaching for me, and the teacher thought that there was something wrong with me. I wasn't learning the way the rest of the children were, and so forth. So mum took me out of that school, and then 6 months went by. So then I got to go back into another school with a beautiful teacher who's very positive and supportive of who I am. And it was just really the support and the love from my parents and that particular teacher when I was 6. Then I started to really grow. It was building confidence through different activities that I was learning, and very quickly my mum caught on that I was very creative. I think in images and I don't think in 1, 2, 3s necessarily. So acting, dancing, singing was, I felt comfortable in that sort of situation, which, as you know, it took me through a big performing arts career. I went to a selective high school and so forth, but I'll let you ask me the questions. But yes, it was those activities, and I just got really honored to be able to experience those different activities as a young age, which has really been the foundation of my success and my business and now pageantry.
Yeah, so you talked before we were on the phone earlier, how in your 20s you were pursuing a career in acting and the creative arts, and you just mentioned that just then you went to a selective school for performing arts.
Yes.
Did you realize from a young age that was the career that you wanted? You just wanted to be in the creative industry?
Thank you for asking me, because it's making me realize new things about myself. I just always knew I loved to perform when I was a child, and then I would do all the plays in primary school, then on to high school. And I was very involved in my early teens in the local theatre production, and we did West Side Story was my favorite. I think I was 16 at the time. So I always knew I loved the experience of sharing your heart and performing to an audience and have an audience go on a journey with you. I knew I loved that, but it wasn't really until I think it was like year 8 or year 9 in high school that I decided that I really wanted to be involved in the performing arts. I didn't know whether it was going to be dance or acting. I just knew I loved to move an audience. So it was really in high school that I decided that I really wanted to do this. And so actually, when I was 12, I wanted to be a ballerina, but my feet just weren't right for ballet. Unfortunately, I didn't have that beautiful arch that everyone has. So I really decided in high school to focus on dance and drama. I went to a selective school, so it was very easy for me to do it 5 days a week and then an extra class on the weekend. But I guess it wasn't until at the end of high school that I was like, no, I think it's acting that I really wanted to pursue. So that led me through traveling overseas, Canada, England, and then in my early 20s, I came back home. And I actually started my own theatre company, because when I was 25, I wanted to play a role in a play and no one was putting on the play. So I decided let's do the play. So I met some contacts at NIDA. I found a director and we produced it ourselves. And it was an amazing experience because we put the production in theatre in the Round in Marrickville. And so the audience came in, and for those of you who don't know what theatre in the Round is, it's basically sitting in a circle and the stage is in the middle of the room, and we had a working stove so the audience could smell the food as they walked in, and it was just such a raw experience. And we did that show for 2 weeks straight, and that was a lot because I just started my business at the time. It was a lot emotionally. I was very depleted energy-wise at the end, so I had to have some me time at the end of that 2 weeks run. But yeah, that was a great experience.
What was it about acting or performing in general that you actually liked, that you decided, hey, this is what I wanted to do?
Crystal, I knew that I loved to go on a journey and invite the audience members on that journey with me. And it wasn't until probably 6 years ago that I saw the connection between my personal development through my business, through my meditation, and acting class. Because in acting class, all the warming up techniques that you have, they're all very lie on the ground and be at one with the universe sort of thing. And I realized it was really, I think I loved the art of acting because it really got me connected to myself in a greater way than just working in a bar or whatever, you know what I mean? So I guess it was through acting and then my meditation and realizing that I could deeply connect to myself, and I love sharing myself with people, and now I'm applying that to my business. So yeah, it's acting is a form of connecting to self and sharing your heart, and I apply that to everything I do now.
That's really wonderful. And in speaking of bringing people along with you, you're kind of doing that with the work that you're doing, the mission, as you described it as, bringing the children out of the lower income mindset and helping them grow out of that so that they can pursue their dreams or goals that they have set out for themselves. Now, let's go into kind of your support system when you're going into that kind of industry. Were your parents very supportive of you going into the creative industry?
Absolutely. They were always telling me and instilling the belief in me that I could do anything that I put my mind to. And I guess that's why I'm so passionate about my mission to helping children in poverty, because I realize that not everyone has that support. I mean, people brought into this world, unfortunately, in some bad situations. Maybe sometimes they don't even have their parents with them, unfortunately. So I realized that the mindset and the emotional knowledge that I've grown and found through my business and now my philanthropy work, I need to educate children. I really want to focus on the young children between 3 and 7 through storybooks, but I've actually just developed a book for teens. It's more of a 20-minute read, if you will, on how to live successfully in your life, and it talks very much about your inner self, the GPS within your body, being in connection with your body, and I give the how to live successfully and how to really master your mind and your emotions. And if you want to dream something, you can achieve it, and I give you the knowledge in the book on how to, so it's very exciting.
Yes, that's wonderful. We'll get into your book a little bit later, but let's now go into kind of your pageant journey and how you mentioned before how you came across an article of the reigning Mrs. International 2019, and then you just went away and started researching, and the pageant world of prioritizing your mission, prioritizing your advocacy, and bringing the community together really inspired you to go into that, because you were looking for a way to give back to the community.
Correct.
Now, even before the pageant industry, were you already doing work to help people to help kids in low income?
No, I wasn't actually, and it's fascinating because as I was growing my business over the course of the 10 years, I realized there was so much poverty in the world, and it was probably about a year before I found pageantry. I was speaking to my husband about the fact that there's so many kids living around the world, not just outside in Africa and Uganda and those kinds of places, but also in Australia and in the US, which is just shocking to me. So I was looking for different charities, different platforms, but I really wanted a way that I could have a big voice, that I could really change and implement programs so that in the future we could look back in 30 or 40 or 50 years time and I could say those programs changed communities, it brought communities closer, changed mindset and so forth. So I guess in a way I just want to bring the world closer through heart and so forth. So yes, I wasn't, it was really pageantry and reading that article that you just mentioned, Crystal, that really, I knew it in that moment when I read the article, and Mrs. Tao, Miss Robin Tao, who's Mrs. International now 2019, she raises awareness about children who have been thinking about suicide and so forth. So she really wants to prevent that from happening. And when I read her story, it was almost like, Crystal, I saw myself in that journey, on that road, if you will. And I knew in that moment that that is actually the reason why I'm here. I've built my business and I've delivered joy and happiness to kids all around the world for the last 10 years, but I really wanted to do something that was going to change for the better. And yes, it was that wonderful lady who is the current Mrs. International who inspired me to go on this journey, and I'm so thankful. So they call it in pageantry a platform, and I was like, coming from the business world, I was like, well, what is a platform? So I had to really research what was a platform. And in my own words, it's really your mission or your purpose. Why are you put on this planet? And so, yeah, I'm very, very passionate about delivering the how-to, the mindset and so forth through books to different ages, but also the programs, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit, because if one child gets a program that can touch their heart in a way, for example, there's programs where you can donate a bag to a child in a foster care, and they get all the beautiful books and the backpack and the pencils and maybe a couple of towels in there and so forth. And that one person, if they feel the love through that bag, I know that it sounds a little bit superficial. How can you feel love through the bag? But what this simple act of donating a bag to a child is doing, it's giving belief and it's helping that child to feel the love from another individual. And it's just that one bag that can make that one difference to that one child. And hopefully one day, if it's a dream of becoming a policeman or a fireman or being the politician, then maybe that one action of that one bag can instill belief in that child going forward. So yeah, it's very exciting, the work that we're doing, me and my husband.
That's true. It's kind of like a ripple effect, you can say, that bag could create. I was also interested in, you were helping to raise funds for a dream court. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, right now, I can't talk about the actual people that we're working with, because that's still in talks. But okay, so for example, in Sydney, Australia, there's an area of Sydney, Bankstown, which is a beautiful area, but however, it is low income compared to other parts of Sydney. So what we really want to do is we really want to put a beautiful basketball court in this area that will allow these children to see a light at the end of the tunnel. They can learn basketball with some local peers. They can grow relationships with trusted local peers who are either connected to the fire or the policemen and so forth. So they have positive role models in their life. And the simple act of learning basketball, I know it is, to some people, you're probably thinking, what can basketball do? But if they have something to focus on and to learn a skill, it can inspire greatness within. It can get them focused on fitness, and they're having fun and they're learning new skills. And who knows, they could be the next Sydney Kings or whatever. But it's just that one basketball that shows to these children someone cares about you, and it can really change the course of their future. It might get them away from some bad influences like drug habits, alcohol habits, or whatever, or it can just maybe give them something, a little opportunity that maybe wasn't there without the basketball court. So I'm very, very excited about working on that for the next 12 months. Me and my husband will be spending a lot of time in that area in Sydney, so yeah.
So when it comes to the work that you're doing, do you sometimes meet the children in these low-income areas?
Absolutely. That's the one thing that me and my husband are very much on, manifesting your life. And so every day right now, because of COVID, we're working on our plan and really getting excited about our plans and so forth. So as soon as we implement our different programs, we've got a backpack program, we've got a basketball program and so forth, we will absolutely be reconnecting and going back to these children and just checking in the next sort of 6 months to 12 months or so forth. So as we plan our book tour and our tour around Australia, Sydney, hopefully Japan, and going on from there, we will absolutely every year book a tour so that we can reconnect and see the stories, and hopefully we can write about it as well, write some more books about it. Hey, Crystal, did you want to come on the journey with us?
That'd be really amazing to start writing a book about that. I mean, why not? You know, a lot of people will read that. Now, when it comes to changing the course of their life, that's something that you talk a lot about. That's why these programs are being made. That's why you raise funds, build these dream courts, give them these bags of hope. Can we help people kind of understand what are some of the common mentalities or common challenges that these children in poverty experience that they had to tackle against to be able to get out of that?
Absolutely, Crystal. So as you know, I had the love and support of my parents growing up. So I now learn why I have been so successful and so driven, because I was born into a world where it was safe to explore. It was safe to learn new skills, and it was safe to get it wrong sometimes, because we can't always be getting things right. I mean, the most successful people in life are the ones who keep on going. They never stop, and that's why they're successful. And they focus on their goals and their mission and so forth, and not necessarily, oh, well, I failed, so I'm going to stop here and go a different direction. Success happens when you just keep on going towards a specific goal. And for me, through my personal development in my business, I would listen to podcasts, I'd read. I guess I've learned about how the body and the human condition and who we are. And there's elements of our body that actually create our reality. And when you're born into a bad situation, in poverty, maybe there's some sort of abuse and so forth, the belief in yourself is sometimes non-existent because of your situation. So through my studies and through learning about how the human condition actually works, I've noticed that if you can dream and not look at your circumstances right now in this given moment and not get upset about what isn't happening, if you can dream about in 10 years time, I want to be a princess and I want to be married to my king, and I want all these things and I want to feel amazing. So if you can dream that that goal, and if you can feel that, and if you could maybe put a plan in place, then you can actually achieve your dreams, whatever it is. I'm not saying you can, who knows? If you want to be a princess, go out and be one. Enter in a pageant. Well, you'll become a queen. But yes, so through my life, I have learnt so much knowledge about how the human condition works. So I know that I can educate these kids. And yes, they've been dealt a bad situation at the beginning of their life. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping them, because I know I can. And sometimes it just all starts in the mindset, in the belief, and having a role model and looking to someone and saying, okay, what have they done? I'm going to adopt that and I'm going to change it, because I want this beautiful universe that we live in, Crystal. I want it to be filled with love and everybody rising above the negative stuff that happens and the bad stuff, and everyone living in a community where everyone's connected and there for each other. That's the end goal that I have. So, and I know I can help, so I'm excited about it.
That's amazing. It's good that you have an end goal there already. Let's talk about how we're going to get into that end goal and helping these kids. Talk about the programs a little bit more.
Wonderful. So there are programs that we are going to be implementing, and we've actually got a budget in our Jane Bullock Charitable Foundation that we're going to be implementing. So we have a plan for the next 12 months. After 6 months, we'll kind of develop the next couple of years going forward. I can't specifically talk about the companies that we're working with just yet, but I'm very excited, and I will be launching some information on our social media in the next coming weeks. However, we have a plan to launch this book, and the whole idea is to connect with the other queens in the international pageant system and do a tour around the world. And in that tour, we will be having all the other queens with us, but we'll be launching this book that, of course, I just spoke about, gives you the mindset and how to achieve success in your life. It's called Heart Queen, because I want to show you that you can be the heart king or queen of your life just by simply following the how-to in the book. So through our book launch, we'll actually be connecting with the locals in that area with the programs that we're going to be implementing. So it's kind of going to be an amazing journey where we're doing programs in the area, we're launching the book, and we're going to be covering it all on social media. So it's going to be an amazing next 12 months. I just can't wait for COVID to lift.
I can imagine how excited you are.
From being a shy girl to developing her confidence through extracurricular activities, thanks to her parents enrolling her onto juggling, unicycling, figure skating, anything that brings out the creativity and curiosity from her, she was able to throw herself into it to improve herself. She really prioritized her personal development. And from this interview, it's clear that she still hasn't stopped. And that's where the saying goes, you can never learn too much. You can always improve. There is always room for improvement. And while she's doing that, I love that she has been doing lots of work for children in poverty and developing programs, raising funds, creating opportunities for them to change the course of their future. Aside from being a pageant queen, she is an amazing role model for a lot of us. She prioritized mindset a lot. She mentioned mindset a lot and how you need to understand yourself from the inside to be able to really find happiness and success in life. I hope you guys found a lot of value from this interview with Laura Ratliff. I hope you learned a lot from her and her journey as well. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel and our social media pages. This is Behind the Lens, and remember that the glitz and glam is the fame, but it's the work backstage that makes the game. I'm Crystel and Leve Benzal, and I will see you guys next time.